with us now, Democratic strategist and executive vice president and co-founder of Third Way, Matt Bennett. Also with us this morning, strategic communications expert and former Republican strategist and pollster Lee Carter. Matt, let me just start with you quickly on this notion of unpardoning. What do you think President Trump is up to here?
Well, I think it's both comical and chilling. It's comical because it's ridiculous to say that you can unpardon someone or that the auto pen had anything to do with anything. And this is classic Trump. He distracts when he wants the public to look away from the economy tanking because of his insane tariffs, Wall Street way down, people's 401ks getting hit, people's safety and security being put at risk. So this is a huge distraction on the one hand. On the other hand, it's him pushing legal limits the way they did, as you just reported, around the migrant deportations. And that's chilling because it sounds a lot like a dictator when you say, I am voiding the acts of my predecessor.
Lee, on the point that Matt was just making on the deportations, whether it was a direct defiance of the judge's order or whether it was intentionally pushing the boundaries thereof, it is a fight this administration seems to want to have with the courts.
There's no doubt about it. I mean, this is something the president has promised. It's one of the things that won him the election. He said he was going to deport. He said he was going to get rid of the criminals. He said he was going to do all of these things. And he pushes boundaries. And he also is a big fan of big symbolic gestures that get a lot of attention. And this is exactly what that did. And in many ways, his supporters are going to look at this and say, it's a fight worth having. And it's absurd that we would want these people to come back, that we would turn this plane around. And so I think this is one of those moments where Donald Trump is doing this with a theater of it on purpose to get the attention, because one of the areas that he's winning on the most in polling is immigration. His approval numbers on immigration are so high across the board that he knows this is an issue that wins for him. And I think in many ways, he's trying to compensate for some of the other areas where he's not doing quite as well.
And Matt, just one last point on this. This is on immigration, but he's pushing the courts on the job cuts. He's pushing the courts everywhere he can. He seems to want to have one ultimate showdown at the Supreme Court, if it gets that far, over who has the ultimate authority over many, many things, the president or the courts.
It seems that way. And of course, the Vice President said a couple of months ago that he kind of quoted the apocryphal quote from Andrew Jackson, if the Chief Justice has made his ruling, now let's see him enforce it. That is really scary. I mean, we operate by the rule of law here. And if it appears that the president is just ignoring the courts in some way, especially if he ignores the Supreme Court, and that is still a live possibility, the rule of law will be in extreme jeopardy. And that puts every single American at risk. That's not just the thing before the court. That is everybody. That is our entire economy. That is the basis for our entire social contract. And it is enormously dangerous for any president to be testing that limit.
Lee, you mentioned something interesting. You said that he'd rather be talking about some things rather than others. Those other things were the economy, were some of the economic numbers and figures, and also opinions of his handling of the economy. We just got new retail sales figures. I haven't had a chance to dig deep, but they were way lower than expectations. They rose in February just 0.2%. The expectation was an increase of 0.7%, and January's figures were an actual decline. Consumers are not spending the way that economists were hoping. How much of a political problem is that, Lee?
I think it's a signal that there's a big problem coming. I think there's no doubt about it. You look at spending, you look at consumer confidence, you look at Donald Trump's polling numbers on the economy, and it's not a good picture. Americans are very concerned about the economy. Donald Trump has done a lot in his first 70 days or whatever we're in right now on other issues. People don't feel like he's done a lot on the economy. But I think it's important to remember a couple things. Number one, Donald Trump's approval on the economy is upside down, but it is nowhere near as low as it was when Joe Biden was in office. He's got more than a 10-point advantage over Joe Biden on where he was, and a much bigger advantage over where people think the Democrats would be on handling the economy. So he's got some runway. And when you look at the polling that he has on tariffs, many people are opposed to the way he's dealing with tariffs, but about 40% Americans are still saying, I don't know what's going to happen. And so they're willing to give him the benefit of the doubt at this moment. The question is for how long.
Right.
And the big difference I see between Donald Trump and the administration prior is that Donald Trump is willing to talk about the economy. When he did his, when he had his address to Congress, he said, "I know the economy is hurting people." He talked about it. And I think it's important that that message gets out there, but it's going to be a real weak point for him. If he doesn't do some things to turn it around, I'm not sure how long the American people are going to give him the benefit of the doubt.
Matt, quickly, one quick last word on the economy and whether maybe Chuck Schumer's strategy of just getting out of the way, not being the story or choice, although blew up in his face, may be giving, Donald Trump the runway to do or not do things on the economy that are unpopular.
Yeah, he's still in the part of his presidency where he's supposed to be in the honeymoon phase, and his numbers overall are pretty low for a new president. Remember, voter anger with new presidents usually starts to boil around August. And August is when people are going to start to feel the effects of these tariffs and the other incredibly stupid things he's doing to the economy just on purpose. The average price of an American car is going to go up by $12,000 because of these tariffs. And it's not hit yet, but it's going to hit soon.
Matt Bennett, Lee Carter, thanks to both of you. Appreciate it.